Though now I am living in California, oh, I still miss that girl out in Virginia. But I have to let her go into the wind. If it's true love, it will return again. The door into my heart is still open to her, unless another woman enters it first. Yeah, I've made mistakes and learned some lessons. I forgive myself, I am still a good man. It was a nightmare when my dream girl came true. She vanished from my arms and there was nothing I could do. I'm letting go of her a little every day. If time heals our wounds, I will be okay. I miss my family back there on the East Coast. Still I roll on with life, though sometimes I'm alone. I miss the Appalachians, where my family's from. But farewell Virginia, California's now my home. Farewell Virginia, California's now my home. All right, thank you very much. Welcome to episode 48, 10 years in San Diego. I'm Fast Heart Mart. This is the Fast Heart Mart podcast. I am your host, Fast Heart Mart. If you want to know why, just look it up. That first song was called Farewell Virginia. I wrote it like in 2014, I think, or 15. It's off a record of mine called Farewell Virginia. And I've talked about this in the past. I've written so many songs and albums at this point that I actually forget some of them, and that was one of those albums that to be honest, I totally forgot it. But I just been listening to it recently because, this episode I knew was coming up, and it's a really good album. Check it out. I feel like that song's pretty strong. I really like the line, it was a nightmare when my dream girl came true. That's kind of really what happened that time, and I'll talk more about that later. But like I said, welcome to the episode. This is going to be a kid-friendly episode. You'll be glad to hear that. I don't know why, but I keep getting these copyright notices on my YouTube channel, and I think it's because I'm playing my own recorded music, and I thought it's kind of weird that I'm getting copyright strikes or whatever, but I'm going to be playing some live music today. Who else is here, by the way? I just see J-Van. Hey, J-Van, good to see you. Thanks for coming, as always, or as usual. I appreciate that. I am wearing sunglasses today because this is an episode about California, and so in California, we're cool, and we always wear sunglasses everywhere. So, and it's kind of hot today, even though it's hot for San Diego is like 90 degrees, 88 degrees, and like almost no humidity. So cheers to that. This is a non-alcoholic beer from Lagunitas, which is amazing. It's an amazing non-alcoholic IPA. It's called IPNA. And I don't usually drink beer, but when I do, I drink these IPNAs from Lagunitas, which are $12 a six-pack. But hey, you got to enjoy yourself sometime, somehow. I don't drink a whole lot these days. I haven't in a long time. Kids, don't do drugs. Don't drink if you can. Stay focused on your goals. That's all I'm going to say about that. And Mercury's in retrograde right now. So a lot of people don't really believe in that stuff. Like all the astrology stuff and everything. I get it. I'm not going to fight over it. I'm not going to like get into an argument about whether it's true or not. I just use this example. I kind of thought of this, I think myself, but if the moon creates the tides and we're 90% water, why wouldn't the moon have an effect on us? Right? I think women know that the moon has a big effect on them. So why wouldn't all the celestial bodies have some kind of effect? And so right now, as far as I know, we're in a Mercury retrograde, and it's been pretty intense. Like I made a smoothie for myself the other day, and it was in the morning. I was getting ready for a gig. I was super excited to drink this smoothie because I was starving, like I just needed something. And the thing just ended up all over my shirt. And then the gig they triple booked me at this gig. There was literally 3 other musicians there already. And it was one of those days. And then the gig after that, I was going to have a double gig that day. The gig after that canceled too because the comedian that I was opening for, he was flying with Spirit Airlines and they never came. And he had to cancel the gig. And I had 2 gigs canceled in one day. And it just felt like a Mercury retrograde. So I do believe in this stuff. And what I know of Mercury retrogrades, it's a good time to just relax. Because a Mercury retrograde, the way I understand it, it's kind of like a giant vacuum cleaner for the universe. And it's cleaning house, And when you're trying to fight a riptide or a current, you're not going to win a lot of times. So you have to just go with it. If you fight it, you'll actually wear yourself out and you'll probably die. So a lot of times during Mercury retrogrades, I think it's a good time just to relax as much as possible, kind of make plans, do some easy stuff that's already been started that you just have little things you need to finish on, like that kind of stuff. That's what I like to do during a Mercury retrograde. So that's also another reason I thought this would be a good episode for right now, is because I would like to reflect on my last 10 years here in San Diego and the reason I moved here and the goals that I've achieved and I have not achieved, so on and so forth. And I'd like to take a minute to remind you, please like this video right now. If you're watching it, just get off the couch and like the video, or however you do that, just like it, because here's the thing. This whole thing is kind of like my retirement plan. I have all these songs that I'm hoping that gather royalties more and more as I get older. And YouTube, I'm hoping to get royalties from more and more royalties from the advertisements and stuff like that. So the more you like my stuff, the more the algorithm will show my stuff to people, and then the more money I'll make. Because if you're not donating, the least you can do is just hit the like button, or you can share it, or if you comment too, if it's a nice comment that doesn't get flagged, then apparently that helps the algorithm too. More and more people see my stuff. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff, please, now. And I'd like to thank my supporters who tip me during the show, and then some people tip me after the show on the rerun and stuff, which is really nice. Jeff Helton and his wife in South Carolina, they donated a few weeks ago, and I never did get to thank them on the show. So thanks a lot, you guys. And then thanks to Allie and Gabby. Allie's a good friend of mine in Northern California, and she donated to the last episode, which was the War of the Sexes, which I'm not going to get into today. I'm not going to do that anymore for a long time. That was pretty intense, and but it was something I felt like people needed help with right now. People were writing me about it, so I felt like it was a good time to address the issue. And then my friend and banjo student, Gabby, also sent a donation. I found that a lot of people a lot of women especially, liked those episodes, the War of the Sexes episodes, of trying to find the balance between men and women. So I thought that was really nice because I thought I was kind of running the risk of sounding like a misogynist or whatever on those episodes, but I'm not a misogynist. I'm like, I just want to find the balance. I want men and women to be able to complement each other and work together and help each other, and that's what I said on those episodes. So I'm glad a lot of women really responded well to that. That was really cool to see that. Thanks, moms. My mom's here. Hey, mom. And J Van and Spencer are here. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming out and listening and watching and stuff. And so, yeah, like I said earlier, this is going to be a kid-friendly episode. Hey, Jay Fine and company out there in Boston, Massachusetts. I know they're watching. Jay Fine and his kids like to watch sometimes, but the last 2 episodes they didn't. I'm going to say one thing. That I had a friend who kept asking this question: How do men protect a woman from herself? And basically, to answer that question as succinctly as possible, I think if a man is a strong enough man who inspires a woman to want to follow him, the woman, and I'm not saying that in a really negative way. I think it can be a beautiful thing where one person leads and the other follows. And I think if a man is inspiring and strong enough for a woman to want to follow him, that basically she can not end up alone and an old cat lady. That's what I'm saying. I think there's other examples of that. That's one, like, just a haughty example, I guess. But of course, men can end up alone too. And so women inspire men to be in a relationship. Men are inspired by women. Just about everything men do in life is for a woman, So it's a symbiotic, complementary relationship, and that's how each of the sides of the yin yang save each other from lonely old age, I guess. Anyway, so let's get I want to laugh on that. Hang on. All right. I realize I'm being pretty vulnerable on here on this podcast, but I am being very called to do this for some reason. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you are too. I'm experimenting a lot with the length of the show and the content of the show, how many songs to play live, how many songs should be pre-recorded, all that stuff. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I'll get this all worked out soon enough. But I think the world needs vulnerability right now. People out there are struggling a lot. I feel like these last few years especially have been psychologically, we can probably all agree, pretty psychologically hard on everybody, no matter what your political background or stance is. I'm going to have a little sip of beer. Non-alcoholic it is. And I think people like myself and artists like myself who are expressing their trials and tribulations for the world to see and to hear, it makes people feel less alone in their own struggles, which is why I keep saying this. The reason I got into music is because music always made me feel less alone, and I wanted to do that for people too. And so that's why I'm doing this as an extension of my music career, is talking about my songs, talking about the issues going on, and being very vulnerable and being very careful not to put my personal life on blast. I certainly wouldn't give out any names of people that I'm talking about, and I almost never talk about anybody in a negative way. Even if they deserve it, I'm not down for trash talking anybody in my life. I always tell what I did wrong and what I would like to improve on, and that's why I tell the stories. But what I would like to change about myself and do differently next time. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying this thing, and we're already 15 minutes in, and I'm just barely got past the intro, I guess. And I've got some songs to play for you. I'm gonna keep rolling, and I was gonna talk about this next song I'm gonna play. I can't actually play it in real life right now because it's so old. It was written in 2013, and I've never played it live. Well, actually, I did play it one time live at a concert in Albuquerque in my friend's backyard. It was a backyard house concert, and I was really in the mood at the time to play it because I had just written it. But I've never played it live, and a lot of these songs that I get to play on this podcast, I don't get to play live because they're not upbeat enough to play live for a lot of my live concerts. I have to make a living playing music, and live shows is where most of my money comes from for now, until this podcast really takes off and I start making tons of money on it. But for now, I have to play these upbeat songs, but have all these really somber songs and reflective songs that I can play on this podcast. And this song, I Fell in Love and I Fell Apart, is one of those songs. Some of my friends think it's my greatest work. I think it's pretty strong. I agree with that statement. So I'll play that in a second, but I'm going to give you a little story leading up to it. So in 2013, I moved to San Diego, and I'm going to back up a little bit. I was born and raised in Virginia, just outside of D.C. I was born in D.C., actually. I was the only white baby in the hospital, apparently. And then my family, we lived in the outskirts of D.C. and Virginia. And I lived there until I was about, I guess I was about 18, 19, and I moved to Albuquerque with my high school sweetheart. And we moved to Albuquerque in 1997, I believe it was. And I stayed there until almost 2010 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I went through a bad breakup with a woman. We had been together for 6.5 years, and I was kind of lost and devastated and heartbroken, which happens. And she was from New Mexico, so she told me I had to leave the state, and I did. I rambled around the country in my Volkswagen van that ran on vegetable oil for a few years, kind of like a lost soul. And that's what one of the songs on this video, on this podcast, is going to be, Lost Soul Search. But it's a song I wrote while I was in the van. And I guess it would have been 2011, I went back to Virginia to reconnect with my family, because I had been gone for like 13 years. I'd been gone for a long time. I'd visit, and they would visit a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I was gone for like 13 years. The prodigal son, I guess, is just the story goes. And I was ready to return home. I wanted to be close to my family again. I was like 30 years old at the time. And I thought it was a good idea to return home, and I started visiting them more often and spending more time. And one year I ended up I would still travel a lot and ramble during the winters, but one year I got a full-time job doing mosquito work. I think it was 2012 when I got this job, and I felt so great. I had my family around. I had this cute band together. It was me and my friend Daniel and his girlfriend at the time, Erin, who's now his wife, and they have a kid now, Emerson, who just had a birthday a couple days ago. I think he's 3 or 4. Super cute. But they were playing music with me. I had a band on the weekends that we'd play, and I had this great job making tons of money, way more money than I'd ever made. I was working mosquito control, which was a great job. It was environmentally friendly. I was near my family, and everything felt like my life was coming back together in 2012. And then tragedy struck, where in 2012, the winter started coming on. I think it was November of 2012. I remember talking to my mom and saying, "Hey, Mom, it's really good to be here with you guys, but for some reason, I'm starting to feel like I did when I was a teenager. I'm starting to get depressed again, and I don't know why, and I think I just can't live here in the winter." And I never knew this when I was a teenager, that I would get seasonal affective disorder. And it wasn't until 2012 when I looked into it more that that's what I have. So when I was out west in the sunny winters, I didn't have a problem, but I was back east. Those overcast winters really made me depressed, and it's a real thing. If you know anybody with seasonal affective disorder, like really take it seriously, because that stuff can really drive you crazy. And when I was a teenager, many times I felt like I just didn't want to go on anymore. It was just really bad. So when I got back 13 years later, I spent my first winter in Virginia, and I started getting depressed. And I told my mom I'm going to leave in the spring, and she was very encouraging. She's like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. You better get out of here." And I met a woman. I fell in love with a woman like a month later. We fell deeply in love. And this is the point of this story, is that I had created a vision board that year for myself. And on the vision board, which was it was right above my bed on the ceiling, literally every morning when I woke up, I stared at it. I wanted to manifest some things in my life. I wanted a new van. I wanted my music career to keep going. I wanted to find a partner, a woman to spend my life with. And things were coming together, including the woman. This was definitely the woman of my dreams. I definitely manifested this through the vision board. But then the seasonal affective disorder started to take its grip on my mind. I couldn't sleep properly. I started getting really depressed. On one hand, I was super excited about this relationship that I had gotten into. On the other hand, I was so depressed I could barely get out of bed. It was like one of the most hardest things I've ever been through. And I've almost died from this heart condition that I have. But this was a whole nother level of like suffering. I was so pulled, and I am a Pisces. I guess that's part of being a Pisces. You're kind of pulled all the time. You're always understanding both sides of things. But I was so pulled by this whole thing. And then we ended up breaking up because I don't want to get too much into the personal, like the details of that. But the woman and I ended up breaking up, and then my whole world just fell apart again. Like I had gone through this massive kind of breakdown in 2010 or 9 when I broke up with my girlfriend in Albuquerque. And then in 2012, I was feeling good again and finally got myself sorted out. I actually had a double whammy in there from 2010 to 2012. There was another woman that we ended up having a lot of issues and stuff. And I had a double whammy, basically. I broke up with somebody in 2009. And then right after that, I had another breakup. And it was like double trouble. So 2012, I sorted myself out. I was feeling good again. And then 2013, everything just exploded in my face again. I was so devastated. And I just said to God, why are you doing this to me? I pray every day to God. I'm a very, I believe in the power of prayer. I'm a very spiritual person. I think I have to be with this heart condition that I have, that I was born with. I mean, it could kill me at any second. So that's why I've had to be such a spiritual person. And I pray every day to God and try to get God to protect me and guide me and stuff. And I don't understand why every few years it seems like I get myself sorted out, and then I'll meet a woman, and then everything kind of blows up in my face again with this issue. Sometimes worse than others, but this time was definitely a bad time in 2013. And I think the reason God does this, he lets me get hurt, is because he knows it's going to motivate me and keep me from being complacent. I think God knows I've got it in me to be a warrior and to always be striving to be my best. And I think God also knows that one day I'll be able to have a functional relationship, but I have a lot to learn before that's going to happen. So just keep that thought in your mind. Again, the reason I'm doing this, people, is because there's people out there who need to hear these kind of stories of people having really, really massive troubles and then overcoming them, or at least alleviating the problems enough to function again. So, yeah, that's kind of why I think God lets me keep getting into these situations. And they have gotten easier to deal with. I've been through it, many times now. To basically, I'm not going to say it, but because I don't want to go into the relationship stuff anymore. But I know what I've done, like what mistake and what pattern I have and how to beat it. I just gotta do it. And so I've actually cut off the pattern before it gets too bad anymore. So that's good too. And then, so I'd also like to say out there for people who are brokenhearted about, like I was in 2013, sometimes the heartbreak kind of never goes away, but you will get to a place where you'll be ready to move on. It can take a long time for some people. That I don't think some people understand what heartbreak is. I think some people are so, so Spartan, whatever. I don't want to sound pejorative about people who've never been heartbroken, but I don't think some people have ever had those feelings of heartbreak. And then some of us, we get so heartbroken that we can't even function properly for a while. So I just want you to know that the heartbreak will eventually mend, and you will be ready to move on. Whether somebody broke up with somebody, or somebody in your life passed away, that's been my experience with that. So this song I'm gonna play next is called "I Fell in Love and I Fell Apart." It's a song I wrote in 2013. Also an EP. It was a EP that I put out in 2013. Man, I feel like I'm talking fast, but I feel like I got a lot of ground to cover. Here it goes. Oh, Laura Willis says hi. Hi from Idaho. Hey, Laura, good to see you on here. Okay, here comes a song called "I Fell in Love, I Fell Apart." Even if I never get to be with you again. I'm grateful for the time we've had together, my friend. You are the dearest love I've ever known. I love everything about you, girl. I'm not sure what went wrong. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I really wanted to settle down and make you my wife. I don't wanna run from you, but I must get on with my life. I've asked you to take me back and to give me another chance. I realize the mistakes I've made under the circumstance. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I fell in love, then I fell apart. A wise man says I should stay in your town and risk it all. When you need me, I'll be there for you to catch you if you fall. He says otherwise I'm running from the fears that I must face. If I don't, I'll be doomed to repeat them again someday. I fell in love, and then I fell apart. I fell in love, then I fell apart. You make no commitments to me to make me feel alright. If I saw you with another man, then I would surely die. So I feel I must pack my things and drive away to a place I can call home and be happy again someday. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I think the wise man's wrong. I have learned from my mistakes. I've learned how to handle love now when it returns someday. I know that I will lose myself in the beginning. I must let go of all the fear and run on trust and faith. I fell in love, and then I fell apart. I fell in love, and then I fell apart. I fell in love, then I fell apart. I fell in love, and then I fell apart. All right, thank you very much. And on that track was I know I'm not shown on the screen right now, but on that track was Jojo Bayless played the drums. He did a great job on that track. And then my cousin who passed away a few years ago, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But my cousin played the piano on that track. My cousin Sam Stamper. So, and then this is a screenshot of me in 2013. Right before I left for California. And then there's me on the right just a few days ago. I tried to look kind of similar, even though I have a completely different banjo now. I don't have that pink shirt anymore, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good for 10 years later. I feel like I'm looking pretty good for a 46-year-old. I was 36 on the left, 46 now. So I thought I'd just show that, and then back to me. Here we go. I hope everybody's enjoying this. Gosh. So when I left Virginia, I had some friends who were saying, you can't just leave. You're troubles will follow you wherever you go. There's no geographic solution here. You're just going to run from your problems. And I really took that seriously. I really considered that. I didn't want to run from my problems. I had been a rambling man for a long time, for the first 36 years of my life, and I didn't want to run from my problems. But I do now realize I wasn't really running from my problems. I was running to a solution. I was so depressed and upset about everything falling apart. Not only, it wasn't just the relationship, I was left my family again. I had a really good job that I could have kept forever and retired with full benefits from a county. It was amazing, that job. Oh my God. And, it was really a hard time. It was like I'd gone from having everything that I was hoping to have in my life to basically being alone in California. And it was not easy starting over. San Diego is not an easy place to start over. Like I remember, and I'm going to show a little mini documentary about my trip from Virginia to California. But I remember on that trip, I was playing all these shows, and I'd tell jokes between songs and tell funny stuff between songs, and people were laughing and having a great time. And people loved my music, buying stuff. And I got to San Diego, and I'm not talking trash about San Diego, but I got to San Diego and played a couple open mics, and I just remember the energy was like gone for me. Like, I remember people just didn't want to hear my jokes. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. They weren't crazy about my music. It was like I should have probably maybe just packed up and left, but I needed the sunshine. I came here for the sunshine and the weather. I just knew I needed that with a seasonal affective disorder. And by the way, if you have seasonal affective disorder or clinical depression of any kind, there's things you can do. I've done them. I didn't have the tools in 2013 to do them, and I really regret that, but I do have them now. I take fish oil, a really good fish oil, which is full of omega-3s, which helps you inflammation of the brain and all your body. Stay away from sugar, processed sugars of all kinds if possible, and vitamin D, a really good vitamin D. I was chronically low on vitamin D for years, and they say 90% of patients who are mentally ill and want to basically jump off a bridge or whatever, they say 90% of them are vitamin D deficient. So check your vitamin D levels and get a really good one. In fact, I have it right here. This one right here is the best one I've found. It's called Thorne Vitamin D K2. And I took a lot of different vitamin D supplements over the years, and none of them seemed to work. And then when I started taking this one, within 3 months, my doctor was like, your vitamin D levels are amazing. So check that one out. That's the best one you can get. It's not too awful expensive either. So the geographic solution kind of is a thing. For me, it was. I needed to get away. I needed to start over somewhere. And it was tough, but I've gotten in the groove now, and I'm going to show here's a mini documentary. My dad says hello. Hey, Dad. All right, here goes the mini doc. I think it's like 5 minutes. It's about driving from Virginia to California in my van, which I've done 7 times. You know how far that is? That's like at least 2,000 miles each way. And that's a lot of days in a van. And that's what I've been doing for a long time now. And I'm going to sing you a song. It's called Lost Soul Search. Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. I drove my van all the way to California. I drove my van all the way to California. So on this long road, life's a mystery, and I'm on a journey I am hardly known, and sometimes I'm lonely, but the universe is providing. The universe is providing. It will make sense eventually. It will make sense eventually. Fast Heart Mart. Once again, hitting the road, taking off from Virginia. I'm at the Best Buy parking lot. It's a very lonely spot. These strip malls and all these stores and stuff are lonely places when you're on tour. Because people, they don't know what you're doing. But as a musician, most people, I guess they know what I'm doing because I actually have a sign on the side of my van here. I am so completely heartbroken. I found a girl that I truly love and I thought I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and I thought she did too, but something happened, I don't know what, and so now I'm moving out to California, and who knows, maybe one day it'll work out with us. I fell in love and I fell apart. It's the name of my new EP, and here I am back in my van. I got a new van. I hope you can see all that stuff back there. Everything I own is in this van at the moment. Just about everything, and hopefully this broken heart mends as soon as possible. But I miss the girl. I will totally miss her. I miss all my friends and my family. But I'm going to California, start a new life, work this cool job, start my music out there again, and hey, Virginia to California, here we come. Alright, here I am out here in right outside of Silver City, New Mexico, having some other thoughts as I drive down the road. I have some friends who are happily married with children, and they wish they had the life that I did. So it seems just you just gotta like whatever life you've got. You make mistakes in life and you learn from them, and you just keep on being appreciative for what you have. So I guess I'm appreciative to have this beautiful van back here right now, be a musician, to entertain an audience. This was a great night in Silver City last night, playing for those people. They really like my music. I really like them. That's important too, that I like the audience. Not just about them liking me, I gotta like them too. It's true. But yeah, I think you just gotta be happy with what you got. You have to have plans for the future and what you want for the future, but you can't just wait to be happy or content for the future plans to come true. And when, for crying out loud, when the universe does give you the gift, when the universe gives it to you, take it and embrace it and accept it and don't question it. I think sometimes we can receive the gifts and think we're not even good enough to have the gift, or we get the gifts and we don't even realize it, that we're getting the gift, and we don't appreciate it. So yeah, you got to be careful, and just be appreciative for the gifts you've already been given and that you're getting every day. Is any of this making sense? I think it is. It makes sense. But I think I'm back out here on the path again. See what I'm saying?
Texas, New Mexico.
So thank you very much. You've been very kind to me. I will be back. I'll return one day. Just like the snowman, I will return again one day. Good night, everybody. Come buy some merchandise from me. Lots of merchandise for sale there. It's valuable merchandise. And also, get a free magnet. Please get a magnet. I have tons of them. I have way too many magnets. I think they're driving me crazy at night. All right, I was actually a pretty good joke, I thought, at the end there. Buy some magnets. I have too many magnets. They're driving me crazy at night when I'm sleeping in my van with magnets sometimes. Because I get these, I sell magnets that people can put on their refrigerators, like Fast Heart Mart magnets. And sometimes I'm like, are these things like messing with my mind at night? So anyway, I thought that was pretty fun. I got to start using that again. But yeah, so that gives you an idea of what the trip was like, what it looked like a little bit, stuff, what was going on. I hope it wasn't too vulnerable or whatever, but it was just, again, I just believe in being an artist to kind of express yourself, what's going on in your life. And I started to, after that experience with the vision board that I had in 2012/2013, where I manifested all these things, I started to feel like it might have been a Ouija board instead of a vision board. I felt like maybe this was like black magic that I was working with. And it's kind of like, you know, the story when the genie in the bottle gives you 3 wishes. And on your third wish is basically to get rid of the first 2 wishes, because the first 2 wishes are making your life completely miserable. And I felt kind of like that with the vision board. I felt like I started manifesting these things in my life that were really great, and I really wanted them in my life. I think in a lot of ways I wasn't prepared, though, psychologically for that. I still felt like I wasn't worthy. For some reason, I felt unworthy of what I wanted in life at that point. And so you got to prepare yourself. You got to get yourself strong when you're going to manifest these things, because you need to feel worthy of it. And for the last 10 years, I've kind of been building myself up and getting worthy. And I do believe, again, in the vision board. So I think anybody who's out there right now who's feeling like they want to change in their life, or they don't know where they're going, I would encourage you to try it. Make a vision board. It will lift your spirits. A vision board is really good, but also a gratitude practice, either every morning or every night or whenever you can do it, every day, telling God what you're grateful for. Those things will lift your spirits. You'll have hope for the future. You'll be grateful for what you have now, because when you think about it, the fact that you're breathing means that you have a lot to be thankful for now too. So those 2 things can really get you up out of that. And that's what this kind of episode's about too, is dealing with depression. And the reason I moved to San Diego was because I had the worst case of depression I've ever had in my life. And I've had it since I was a kid. There's been depression. It runs on my dad's side of the family. I think maybe my mom's side too. But in 2013, that was definitely the worst case I'd ever had. It was a case of clinical depression. And I'm lucky. I was about this close to calling an ambulance one day, I remember, to take me to an asylum, because I was just like, I was done. I called it the Vincent van Gogh effect. I remember thinking about Vincent van Gogh and being this brilliant artist who struggled his whole life to get right, but he never could. And he just self-destructed, in the end, unfortunately, which is really sad. And I get it. I felt like that was my Vincent van Gogh period for myself. And I did pull myself out of it, though. It took a lot, and it took some changes, some big changes. But I did it, and I want people to know that out there, that you can change. And I'm much better now than I was 10 years ago mentally. Even though all my dreams have not come true that I had on the vision board, a lot of them did. And I just got waywarded, and now I'm ready to get back to that. So my 2 main goals that didn't come true over the last 10 years probably was I was going to buy a house in Joshua Tree, actually. And I don't think I have time for that story. I might tell it the next next episode. That might be actually the subject of next episode because it's a long kind of story, but it's an interesting one too. The other life goal, I've always just kind of wanted to have a partner. And maybe it's like I need to stop thinking about it or whatever. It's like falling asleep. If you can't fall asleep unless you stop thinking about it. But I just thought that would be nice to have a partner to go through life with, like to share your experiences. And that hasn't really happened. There's been some close calls over the last 10 years for sure. I've had some really good experiences. And I regret some of them not going, not happening. And some of them, I'm glad they didn't work out. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think, you know what a Chad is? I'm not going to get into that. A Chad is like, anyway, I'm not going to get into it. I feel like I'm not going to go there again this episode. It's like too much about what the last two episodes were about. But at least I have experienced love in my life. I've been in love a few times, enough times to have known to be grateful. I think some people may never have felt that. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when you fall in love, it can be really scary. And I think that's kind of what happens to people on both sides, is if they're not prepared for that feeling, that really intense feeling of falling in love, that both people can actually sabotage the whole thing. So you have to be careful. You have to go slow enough to where you feel it's kind of like flying I think it's like flying a glider probably. You don't want to just jump off the cliff the first time. You got to kind of get used to it, get used to the glider, how it feels, work with that for a while probably, and get to trust yourself, and then one day you can jump off the cliff together, on the glider and stuff. But if you jump off the cliff right away, you're probably going to wig out in the midair and somebody's going to get hurt. So I think that's what a lot of people have done. I think that's probably what I have done. And anyway, I'm going to play a Woody Guthrie song because Woody Guthrie warned me a long time ago and everybody else with this song called Do Re Mi. And it's Do Re Mi is another term for money. And Woody Guthrie basically warned the world a long time ago not to move to California unless you have the Do Re Mi, unless you have money. And I thought, well, Woody Guthrie's he was alive back in the 40s, 50s, and some of the 60s. So it must be different in California now, but in a lot of ways things have not changed, And you do need money out here in California. I'm very grateful because my really good friend, my friend Sue Jantra, he basically saved my life in 2013 by providing this apartment for a really cheap rate for me. Because he believes in me as an artist, and he wanted to help me out. He calls it the artist rate, and so I have this cheap apartment in the best weather in the world, or not in the world, but maybe in the United States, especially in the summer. Florida's really hot in the summer, but so this song is called Do Re Mi by Woody Guthrie, and I'm gonna try to do this. Check this out. I have a reverb now too, that's pretty cool. I have reverb for my vocal that I'm pretty proud of. This podcast is just getting better and better every week, people. That's why I'm glad you're funding me and tipping me below and using the Venmo code. Hundreds of dollars are flowing in every episode. See, you can probably hear that a little bit, especially if you have headphones on. You should hear like a stereo effect, okay? If you ain't got the Do Re Mi, if you ain't got the Do Re Mi, believe it or not, you won't find it so hot. If you ain't got the Do Re Mi, if you ain't got the Do Re Mi, Lord, you ain't got the Do Re Mi, you better go back to beautiful Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Georgia, Tennessee, 'cause California is a garden of Eden, a paradise to live in and to see. But believe it or not, you won't find it so hot. if you ain't got the do-re-mi. Alright, that's all of that I'm going to play for now. I'm going to play another Woody Guthrie song in a second, though. And now the reverb is off. See that? It's pretty tricky. Pretty cool. Pretty proud of myself with that. Alright, so yeah, Woody Guthrie was a little skeptical about California, and I am too. I'll be honest. I'm a little skeptical. It hasn't been super great for my music career. Like I said, when I first got here, I noticed that, but whatever. I'm just gonna put my notes down there, and but let me talk about well, of course, the politics here in California definitely counter to what I'm trying to do. I think the only state in the union, though, that kind of goes along with what I like is maybe South Dakota. I think Texas does a good job, and Florida too, but I think they've got issues too. I think South Dakota is it's outlaw out there. I got some friends out there in South Dakota, and that's a place to be. I couldn't do the winters though; it'd be too cold for me. I already talked to you about that. I can't do winters, man. It's really hard. But the good things about California is I currently have free health insurance through the state because I'm uninsurable actually. So I have to get health insurance through the state usually, and not all states provide health insurance for people like myself who are uninsurable. Basically, uninsurable means if you have a pre-existing condition, it would be so expensive, nobody could pay for that insurance. It would be insanely expensive. So I do get insurance through the state, which is nice. I know there's criticisms of that, and it's a little like socialism and stuff. I get that. But hey, that's a good benefit for now. I've made a living playing farmers markets out here, and I love that. That's been great. My friend gives me this apartment for a reduced rate. One of the reasons I moved to San Diego is because I knew it was going to be a place where I could not blame the weather for my problems. I can't put the blame for almost any of my problems on San Diego, really. Maybe my music career, but I've done all right. I'm making a living, so that's another good thing. Is basically putting yourself in a place where you have no excuses. You have to face your own demons, work it out. One of the things that's kind of weird about San Diego is it's like when you live in San Diego, where do you go for a vacation? I noticed that when I first moved here. Would you go to Hawaii? That's the only other place you could go, I guess. But I go for a vacation, obviously, other places. But I thought that was pretty funny. I thought I was gonna play another Woody Guthrie song, but I'm gonna actually play a song called "I Love You, San Diego" first. Is what I've got written down here, and that's on the banjo for sure. Oh man, it's already like 4:53. It's like I've already been here for almost an hour. Gosh, I'm really learning a lot though. This is crazy. I can't believe I've gone that long. It's going to go over a little bit today, people. Just hang in there. It's almost done. And if you leave, that's fine. I get it. It's free to get in, but you do have to pay to get out if you leave early. So just leave a $100 bill on the way out with the bouncer. Okay, I'm really proud of myself too because I've got this reverb for the banjo now. It sounds really good. It's one of those things that it's taken me years to figure out a good reverb for the banjo, and I just the other day found a good one because I wanted to for this podcast. It's really effective. And this song's called "I Love You, San Diego." I wrote it a few years ago. I've never had a good recording of it, and I think I'm gonna have one now soon. But I tell people I love living in San Diego. I'm very grateful to be here. It's probably the most perfect place I've ever been. And I've been a lot of places in my life. I've been all over the world. But it's probably the best, the closest thing, the perfect. But it is pretty expensive. There's no place to park sometimes. A lot of times in San Diego, the parking's atrocious in places. There's earthquakes and fires and no fresh water. But besides that, I love living here. So this song is called "I Love You, San Diego." I might be living in a fantasy with all these natural disasters all around me. Earthquakes and fires might kill me, but right now it's 70 and sunny. Oh, where else would I go? This place is as perfect as I know. That's why I love you, San Diego, California. It's really tough to live in the city, 'cause all these houses cost way so much money. There's hardly ever any parking. By the grace of God, we're making a living. Oh, where else would I go? This place is as perfect as I know. That's why I love you, San Diego. You. I was sitting on a beach in February. The sun was out and I was sunbathing. All the weather back east was freezing, and from there it was depressing. Oh, where else would I go? This place is as perfect as I know. That's why I love you, San Diego. Yeah, I know there's way too many normies living in this new age reality. People with way too much self-esteem, taking themselves too seriously. Ah, but where else would I go? This place is as perfect as I know. That's why I love you, San Diego. Where else would I go? This place is as perfect as I know. That's why I love you, San Diego. All right, thank you very much. Thanks, y'all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Doesn't that sound good, y'all? I mean, I think it sounds really good. It's coming along. Those reverbs are pretty natural sounding. I'm pretty psyched, pretty stoked. I mean, psyched is something we used to say back in the late 80s. I haven't said that in a long time. Back when I was riding fluorescent skateboards. Anyway, where's my notes? I'm gonna wind this down, I guess. I don't expect people to stay around too much longer. So I got this. Yeah, so one thing that happened while I've been here in California, and I wanted to mention this because, like I said, depression runs in my family. And I'm talking about like serious depression, like crippling depression. And unless you've experienced it, you won't know, you won't understand, and that's okay. I get it. I don't expect people to, but if you've ever been in the throes of it, my uncle has it. My dad, I think, has it a little bit, and certainly my cousin, who was younger than me, but we were very close. I think out of maybe. Him and I were really close. We were really close. Even I think he was 10 years younger than me, and he had a pretty hard life growing up and stuff. And unfortunately, in 2016, since I've been in California, he passed away. And I mention this because he struggled so hard with depression, and I know he did. And unfortunately, he turned to drugs. And I'm gonna say what my friend Mitch told me to think. He's like, don't make excuses. I'm just saying, I'm telling my story, guys, And I'm saying this because people out there need to hear this. You know, people, when they're depressed like that, they turn to drugs and they self-destruct. It happens all the time. And heroin, he got on heroin, and him and we had to stop talking. I refused to talk to him. I admit that, because he was getting really, it was just not working, you know? I had to draw the line. I had just gotten myself out of the quicksand after 2013, and I was like really pretty fragile still also, even though him and I talked on the phone all the time. When he got into that heroin, man, I had to stop, because he was just going way too far with stuff, and I miss him all the time. And there's a short story, I'll try to tell it. The blue van in that video earlier, I packed that van up and left Virginia in 2013, and Sam was there helping me pack the van. And he just said to me, "Don't go to California. Please don't go. You know, I can't stay here by myself in Virginia." He just gotten out of the military, and he was a war veteran. He was having a lot of issues, but I knew that I had to leave, and I was like, "Sam, come to California, please." But he just couldn't. He wouldn't, you know, he couldn't get it together. And when I got to California 3 years later, it was in 2016 when he died. Like a few months after he died, the girl I was dating at the time and I were cleaning out my van to go on a camping trip, and I found this sign from Sam in the back, like in the spare tire department of my van, and it's just like, I keep that with me all the time. I keep him on my windowsill, because I feel like he's still with me. He plays, like, a lot of times I'll think about him and a Nirvana song will come on the radio, and he loved Nirvana, and especially loved that song Heart-Shaped Box, and that specific song will come on, like, or Spotify or whatever, and I know he's there. So again, people, if you're dealing with somebody who passed away because of drug addiction, because of, you know, depression and all that stuff, it's horrible. It's terrible, and take it seriously. Do what you can, but don't blame yourself. That's something we deal with. Like when Sam self-destructed at first, I wanted to blame myself, and I felt really guilty, you know, like I didn't help him enough. But that's not actually what he wanted. At his eulogy, which I said one of his eulogies, you know, there's a few people that did, and I was very honored to say it. It was a miracle that I ended up at his funeral on the day that I did. I was actually in Europe right before that, and I ended up in Virginia on the day of his funeral. It was wild. And his sister asked me to say a eulogy, and I was very honored. And I channeled him that morning of his funeral, and he told me, don't tell everybody not to feel guilty, to remember how funny I was and how great of a spirit I had. He was the most loving guy anybody ever met. I mean, really, he would always help you. He would give you the shirt off his back, literally. Sam would, like, just do anything for you, you know? And it was just really sad the way he died. But the thing is, too, I have to tell people who survive this, don't feel guilty, because sometimes, you know, it's beyond our control. We're not God. You have to let go and let God, which is another thing that's happening right now with Mercury retrograde. You have to let go sometimes. You know, the more you hang on to this stuff, the more it's going to drag you down sometimes, and you have to let it go. And it's not easy. It's like sometimes it's really counterintuitive, but you just have to say, hey, if I get in the quicksand too, then we're both going to go down. You know, we can't both go down. Or the whole put on your oxygen mask before you put on somebody else's. You got to take care of yourself first, and not to be, you know, silly at a moment like this, but you got to take care of number one, or else you might end up in number two. Oh, I was supposed to be a laugh. Hang on. Anyways, but yeah, so that happened while I was out here. And again, the reason I'm telling this story is that I'm lucky to be alive for many reasons. All of us are very lucky to be alive. We're lucky to be here, and Sam's not. You know, like Sam's. So, anyway, I'm gonna play a song called "California Stars" by Woody Guthrie for Sam. I like to rest my weary head tonight on a bed of California stars. I'd like to lay my weary bones tonight on a bed of California stars. I'd like to feel your hand touch mine. Please tell me why we must keep working on just to give this life to dream a dream with you on a bed of California stars. I like to dream my troubles all the way on a bed California stars. I'd like to lay my worried bones tonight on a bed of California stars. They hang like grapes from the vine to shine the warm and lover's glass, like a friendly wine, just to give this life dream a dream with you on a bed of California stars. I like to rest my weary head tonight on a bed of California stars. Wake up from the starbed to make another day underneath these California stars. I like to feel your hand touch mine. Please tell me why must keep working on just to give this life dream a dream with you on a bed of California stars. Thank you very much. Thanks, y'all. All right. Let me take the reverb off here. All right, back to no reverb. Here's the joke of the day. Let me cue up my laugh track here. Hang on. All right. I think this joke's good. I didn't write this, but it's a timeless joke. Oh, thanks, Mom. My mom said, beautiful song. Thanks, Mom. If you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. Wait. That was not supposed to be that way. If you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. Thanks. That's better. That's much better. Also, what is the difference between California and yogurt? California, sorry, I messed this joke up. What's the difference between California and yogurt? Yogurt has live and active cultures. All right. So, in conclusion, I'm going to conclude here now. And thanks everybody for coming out. I really appreciate that. And this thing's wild. This podcast is wild, man. I'm excited about it. I'm having fun. I'd like to say, like, if people don't even come or whatever or listen to it, I'm having fun. I feel very strongly about this thing, and I'm sorry I shedded a few tears just now, but I didn't expect that. I feel like Sam's here. I do feel like Sam's always with me. We were very close, so I think if you truly love somebody, you'll meet again on the other side of the veil. So. Yeah. So anyway, I may not have met all my life goals over the last 10 years, but it's not where you are. It's how far you've come. The past 10 years have been one heck of an adventure, and I'm ready to create a new vision board because I believe in myself now more than ever. Thanks to everyone in San Diego and all over the world who helped me and inspired me along the way. There are way too many to mention here, and I encourage you again, everybody out there, to make a vision board. If you're in the depths of despair and you're not sure where your life is going, or you look back on the last 10 years of your life and you're like, what happened to the last 10 years? and I feel like that in some ways, but in a lot of ways, I feel like there's been a lot of good stuff that's happened. I have a lot to be grateful for. My health is amazing right now, so I've really worked on that pretty a lot, and I'm considering spending more time in Florida. I think I'll plan on spending the summers here in San Diego indefinitely. This is the best place to spend summer for sure. But I think I'd like to visit my family more often in Virginia again, and spend some time in the southern Florida, like for winter. The winters here have not been great the last few years, and I have to admit, I want to find a better place to spend my winters. I think Southern California might be the place to do that. So just I'm telling you that because some people wonder why I don't travel and tour anymore and stuff. It's just been these last few years, man. The world has been upside down. It's just really weird to tour and stuff. Like, you don't know if it's going to get canceled. I had a huge tour in 2020 canceled. All that work gone down the drain. So just wanted to let you know, starting next year, I'm going to get back on the road a little bit more than I have been. So you'll be glad to see me out there. And just want to let you know, too, if life feels like I did in 2013 for me, and this year, too, has been a real challenge, I've had a lot of challenges. I talked about that in a previous episode, but the years that end in 3, I think, are like pretty challenging for me. And this one has been pretty challenging. Not nearly as bad as 2013, though. I have to say that. But this year has been pretty challenging. And I just want to tell people there is hope out there. Keep at it. Take some supplements. Get some really good supplements. Your diet, it has a lot to do with your health. Exercise, all that stuff. I know sometimes you don't want to hear it, but it is true. A lot of this stuff you can help if you change some things in your life. And yeah, so keep on keeping on. East Coast tours, J-Van says. Yeah, I'll be out there, J-Van, for sure. It'll be fun. I'm thinking of coming through Florida, southern Florida. I'm hoping to be there in February and March. And then, going up the East Coast, like probably April, May and stuff. And then be back out here by June when it starts to get really hot everywhere else. So that's kind of the tentative plan there. Trust me, guys, I'm trying to get this finished up here. Thanks for hanging in there. And thanks again for all the supporters who donated today. Let me see. I think I saw somebody donate earlier. And this was nice. This is a nice note from somebody who donated today. Corey Hicks. Corey Hicks says, I love this, man. It's really good to hear your voice. The vulnerability and honesty is exactly what I needed to hear. So, see what I'm saying? Corey, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for writing that really nice note. And thanks for the donation. That's really kind of you. Keep at it, man. Whatever's going on, just remember, things can turn around really quick. I've had it happen so many times where today you're feeling a certain way and then tomorrow everything opens up. So keep believing, keep strong out there. And please like this video, share, comment, subscribe right now if you can, please, to help the algorithms and stuff. Oh, and I have a show coming up this Friday if you're in town in San Diego. This Friday, I'll be in Nate's Garden Grill 2 times. I'll be there for lunch, which is 12 to 2. And then I'll be there for dinner, which is 6 to 8. All right. And that's it. Thanks for coming out, everybody. And let's see. I need to cue up the clap track here for myself. All right. Thank you. It's good to see you. And just remember to keep at it. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in, according to Leonard Cohen. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. And this podcast is dedicated to my lovely cousin Sam. We will meet again.